Good morning, y'all. Welcome back to another video on the Luderco Arms channel. Today we are actually going to do some gunsmithing. So we've got this stock. It came off of a Krag, 3040 Krag, and you can see right here there's a big old crack right in the spot where Krags normally crack, and on the other side there's a little bit smaller crack right there. So what we're going to do, we're going to use some Acraglass, which is some stuff made by Brownells. It's a resin, epoxy, 2-part. You've got resin and then hardener. And you mix this 4 parts resin to 1 part hardener. And we're going to use some hardwood dowel pins that I've cut out to strengthen this. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to go on the inside of the action here. And you can see that this crack has come all the way across. This whole section is cracked. Same over here. So what we're going to do is on the inside of this action here, where it'll be hidden when the rifle is put back together, here, we're going to drill. And we're not going to drill all the way through, but what we want to do is drill through across that crack into here without coming all the way out. And then we're going to put Acraglass in the holes, and then I've chosen a drill bit that will be just the right size, so when we stick this down in the hole, it'll actually push the Acraglass out into the crack. And once we get all those in there, then we will clamp this down with some wood blocks that I've got made. These look kind of ugly, but they've got wax paper on them that keeps them from sticking. So the biggest thing you want to do is you want to do all this prep work ahead of time. I've already fit the blocks onto the stock. I know where I'm going to put the clamps, all that good stuff. So in order to get ready, what we want to do is move this camera a little bit. We're going to take some painter's tape of the not very sticky variety. And what we want to do is put some on the stock right in this area where the crack is, but not over the crack, because what we want to do is you're basically protecting the rest of the stock. You don't, this stuff, once you get it going, it's not easy. The only problem, Acraglass is an excellent product, but it is harder. It's generally harder when it dries than the wood. So the less amount that you can get spilled everywhere, the better off you're going to be. So what I like to do is put some tape on here, kind of like this, so that when it squeezes out of this gap, it gets on the tape and not all over the stock. We don't want it all over the stock where we'll have to do more work to clean it up. So we put these on there, and I don't know if it's showing on the camera, but this thing's got the crack comes back and around like that. So we want to just kind of cover all that up. And then the same on the other side. You want to come, this crack's not quite as long. But you just want to do this. This is just going to help you have an easier time cleaning it up once you get done with it. So there we go. All right. So like I said, I took a test piece and drilled some holes in it already with my, and figured out that this was the best size drill bit for the job. And now what I need to do is mark the bit, because what you want to do is make sure that you don't go all the way through. What we're trying to do is repair the stock, but not have the repair show. So if we're going to go here, we want to stop drilling right there. So what I put myself a little piece of tape on there, and that shows me where I should stop drilling so that I don't drill through the side of the stock. Let me see if I can get this in a place where I can see what I'm doing and drill it without messing it up, so you can see what I'm talking about. So what I'm going to do is come in right here, just like that. So there's one hole. You can see I've got my dowels here, and yep, that goes through the crack. Perfect. That's just exactly what we want. So we're going to do a couple of more like that at different areas, but I got to make sure, yeah, that that's still going to work. So we got one there. We're going to put one right here, more straight down. And then probably one here. Like that. Now I should point out that prior to starting on this, I did cook this stock in my stock oven to get all of the excess oil out of it, which is kind of important. You don't want that excess oil causing problems with your epoxy bond. Alright, so we got 4 holes drilled there. And now we need to do a couple on this other piece here. Being careful of this cutout. So there may just be 2 on this side. Let's go here. And here. Just like that. Okay, so we've got our holes drilled, and now what we want to do is put all our dowels in. Like this, and then we're going to there we go. So now with all these dowels in, what we need to do, you don't want to necessarily cut them flush because you need to be able to push them in there. But you want to cut them where they're not sticking above this, because that's where the piece of wood is going to clamp down on this. So we can come back after the epoxy dries and clean all that up. So let me go grab my clippers because I left them in the other room, and I'll be right back. Okay, you can see I've clipped all of these off. That way they won't be in the way when I put my pieces of wood on here to clamp this all together. So now what I'm going to do is pull each one of these little dowels out and lay them out of the way in order so that I know where each one goes. And I cut some of these off pretty darn close. So might need a little help getting them out. Might have cut that one a little too close. Ah, there it goes. So because each one of these holes is going to be a little bit different, you want to make sure you keep these in order so they go back in the same hole that you cut them for. Alright, so now we're ready to mix up some epoxy and get that going. So let me grab my stuff for doing that, and we'll be right back with that part. Alright, so we got 4 parts of resin to 1 part hardener, and we got to mix this up for 4 minutes. And rather than bore you with 4 minutes of me sitting here stirring this, I'm going to come back once I get this mixed up. Okay, once you've got this stuff mixed up for 4 minutes, like the directions say, you want to start placing your dowels. So what you want to do is take some of this on this mixing dowel, and you want to put it down in that hole right there. That first hole where the gap is the biggest. And you get it kind of dropping down in there, and then you use this as like a syringe, and you push that down in there. Then you get you some more, and what you're looking for that stuff to start squeezing out of the crack down at the bottom. There we go. We're starting to get some now. Anyways, you want to keep doing that and get that crack filled up with this stuff. What you don't want to do is try to spread this stuff on the outside of that crack, because it won't work the way you think it will. And you want to be quick, because you've only got about 15 minutes of working time. So you want to be quick with this, not so quick that you get it all over the place other than in the stock, but you definitely want to not be too slow. just keep working it. And once you've got it coming out of all your crack, don't forget to get your other side. And if you notice that your stuff's starting to thicken up on you and get where you can't work it anymore, then it's time to go ahead and insert your dowels and be done. But right now we're okay here. So we're going to keep on shoving that down in there and get it on out. Shoot. Now, if you have a boo-boo or a mistake or an oh crap, and while it's still wet, you can wipe that stuff on up. But just be careful that you don't wipe it onto the rest of the rifle and make messes. And don't get it on your fingers and make fingerprints on the stock. Now on the inside of the stock, in the inletting, it's not that big a deal if you get a few pieces, a few sprays spilled in there, because we'll be cleaning all that up once this dries. The biggest thing is getting all this up here done. Alright, so once you got it starting to show up in your crack around there, and you're happy with it, that's when you start taking your dowel pins that you got pre-cut, and you give them an extra little dip in the juice, and then you stick them in their hole. Shove them home. Okay, we've got all those in. Now I've still got a few minutes before this sets up, so I'm going to go ahead and wipe a little bit of this excess out of the center where I don't need it. And it can be kind of nerve-wracking. You're working against the clock and everything, but just take a deep breath and keep at it. Alright, so now we've got all our pins in, like that. And you can see all our stuff starting to come out the sides, and that's perfect. So now we're going to take our 2 pieces of block here and put one on the top, one on the bottom. Shit. I just dumped resin out all over the floor. That's not what you want to do. Alright. Luckily we didn't dump it out all over the gun. Alright, let's put our blocks on here. Like so. Gotta wipe it off. Just like that. Alright, now we got our stock clamped there, and there's other cracks in this we're going to have to repair later, but for now all we need to do is let this set up. So we'll once that cures, I'll come back and show you how to clean everything up and get it ready. So we'll be back. All right, good morning, y'all. So as you might be able to hear from the rain on the roof, it is Saturday morning and it's raining and ugly outside. But we're going to go back in here just in case you're wondering why the camera angles were so bad earlier in this video, and will probably continue to be. This is the little tiny room that I'm working in when I do stock work, which is fine for working, but when I'm trying to film, it's probably not the best. But, well, you got to use what you got. And when I started doing this work, I never intended on filming YouTube videos, because that wasn't really a thing back in the day. So yesterday we got this all put together, and now we'll pull the clamps off and see how our repair turned out. Ah, yes. All right. So you can see we got all those cracks are all nice and repaired now. And because we've got dowel pins going down through against the grain of the wood, that's going to be a whole lot stronger going forward. So now what we've got to do is clean all this up. Clean this up. Once we get that all cleaned up, then we've got one cracked area right here that we need to kind of do basically the same kind of repair on. Once we get that one done, then we'll just have to re-oil the stock and we'll be good to go. So let me get all of the tools to do all this cleanup work ready, and we'll go ahead and do that. I'll be right back. Okay, so I can't find my Dremel tool anywhere. I don't know what in the hell I did with the damn thing, but it is not in here, and it's not in the house. So we'll continue on with the parts we can do, and then we'll figure something out. I'm sure as soon as I order a new Dremel tool, I'll find the old one. But so the next step, and part of the reason I left this tape on here so far, is we need to take this where it squeezed out of the crack and take it down. And so we'll use the tape as kind of a guide so that we don't gouge into the wood. And what we're going to do is just slowly start filing this down, and what we want to do is file the epoxy and not the wood around it. So you want to go real slow and real careful. And this one spot right here will get a little bit of wood. But the point is, you don't want to start really filing that wood away. What we're wanting to do is bring that down level. Switch to this smaller file now. And all this stuff just takes patience. And basically what you want to do is keep at it until you take this down where it's just in the crack and there's none of it sticking up above. And see, there's one spot here. Try to get that a little bit. There we go, that's good. See, now we can take this tape off. On this side anyways. And you'll see there's no excess glue sticking out. So when we go with steel wool and boiled linseed oil to refinish this, that's all going to smooth out and you won't be able to tell where that crack was repaired. It'll be all nice and smooth. There's some goo left on here from the tape. But we'll take this side here, and this side's very, very little left. Probably use we use the chisel edge of this and just kind of, there we go. Yep, perfect. So we can peel the tape off. And there's one little spot right there alongside that tape we need to take down. So what we'll do, now you'll notice I'm not gouging down into the wood with this. All I'm doing is taking that goo, that excess off of the top of the wood. Don't want to, there we go. So with this Acraglass, once you've let this sit overnight, you want to go ahead and do all of this work of cleaning all this up, because as this stuff sits longer, it gets harder. And as it gets harder to clean up. So let me get set up to try to take care of these without my Dremel tool. Will be an issue, but we'll see what we can do. I'll be right back. Alright, since I can't find my Dremel tool, I'm going to attempt to do this with this new tool that I got. And so basically all I want to do is take these pins down. And so we're going to set this on the low speed. It's still quite a bit faster than I really want, but all right. So, on this one side that I just did, you can see these are now flush. And that's nice and clean. Now, you don't want to grind into the wood of the stock. All you want to do is take these down flush. Because this is actually going to be covered with, when the rifle's put together, you won't be able to see these. So let me get this flipped around in the vise here. And we'll see about getting this other side down where it needs to be. And the big thing is I got to be careful not to catch this edge right here. We don't want to make the situation worse. All right, that actually worked better than I thought it was going to. All right, so that's all smoothed back down to the level, to the surface there, just like it needs to be. So when this rifle's put back together, all that'll be covered. You won't be able to see any of those dowel pins. But that looks a lot better. Obviously, we'll have to refinish this. So now we got to do this crack here. And that's basically going to be done the same way, but we're going to drill this direction back through that crack. So let me get set up to do that and we'll be back. Okay, apologies, I did not film this because I got sidetracked looking for my Dremel and everything else. But so we went ahead and drilled a hole. Let's see if I can get this where you can see what I'm talking about. We went ahead and drilled a hole back this direction, back through this crack here, and basically did the same thing as we did before with the Acraglass and using the dowel to push it all into the crack. And then we've got it clamped down, so that'll sit overnight. And then tomorrow we'll come back and we'll start with a little steel wool and boiled linseed oil. Put the finish back on, such as it is. This is not we're not trying to make this look brand new. We're just trying to repair the cracks and keep the same look of the rifle. So we'll be back tomorrow with finishing up on the stock part of this. Okay, so now we are finished. So this crack, you can see it here, but it is now fixed. It is solid. This crack's fixed. And these are fixed basically internally. There's resin now infused into the wood where the crack was. And you can see on this back crack, there's a dowel going back this direction through there. And that was used to push the resin up into the crack. And then this was clamped. So now all those cracks are repaired. And all that's left now is we'll just re-oil the stock with some boiled linseed oil. And she'll be ready to put back on the rifle. Again, this is not, all we were doing on this job was repairing the cracks. The look, the age of the stock needs to stay the same. Plus, anytime you're working on an antique gun, you don't want to take away from what's there. You don't want to try to make it look like a brand new gun, because all you do is take the value of the gun away. All we were doing here was repairing these cracks so that it will be solid again. So, hopefully this has helped some of y'all out learn how to fix cracked stock. And thanks for watching. Appreciate your support, and we'll see you in the next video.